Good evening, everyone. This is a quote from our health secretary, Mr. Francisco Duque III, and he says that if you look at the number of dengue cases per year, and you do the computation, you get about 240,000 per annum. Dengue, as he describes it, is a personal and community concern that affects everyone from the richest to the poorest. And we can still prevent this from happening if we all do our part. In fact, dengue has been rising. Cases of dengue have been rising since the 1960s, where it used to just affect tropical countries, and then now it's spreading to more temperate climates. So I guess the natural question is, how do we solve dengue today? There are actually two main ways. One is preemptive, and second is direct treatment. So let's start with preemptive. So in general, your goal is to eliminate mosquitoes and their sources. So maybe you've heard this in school, or like what your community drives try to make you do. But basically, it's to eliminate places where mosquitoes can propagate and they can grow. Included in this is spraying of insecticide, whether manually or by planes over large areas. But this could be time-consuming or expensive depending on who's trying to implement it. So the other way is direct treatment. So this happens usually when someone's infected and they find out, oh, he has dengue, so what do we do? There's actually no direct vaccine for dengue, but we'll get back to that. And one of the complications is dengue is considered asymptomatic and subclinical. What does that mean? When you go to the doctor cannot with 100% or even 80% guarantee say he has dengue. Usually what happens is, he has fever, and then the fever continues for 3, 4, 5 days, and then maybe it's dengue. And subclinical, which just means the same thing. And I guess to just add even more complication, locally, we're familiar with like the dengue scare. So dengue is actually a vaccine to cure dengue, but the problem is there's a higher children and people who have not gotten dengue before and get this vaccine actually are at a higher risk of dying from dengue for some whatever reason. So that's actually from the CDC or the Center of Disease Control. But if you got dengue before and then you're vaccinated, you're I guess long story short, you said you're okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say here in summary is there's no good and clean way to fight dengue. It's either too expensive or too preemptive, or you're trying to treat something that someone already got. So I guess the question is it possible to predict dengue outbreaks with geological or weather data? So why do I come to that? Why am I going to that hypothesis? Well, because weather can influence the incidence of mosquitoes, and mosquitoes are the ones that carry dengue. So that's the only way you can get dengue. Unless somebody carries dengue and a vaccine runs to you and injects you, but I doubt that will ever happen. So the rate of mosquitoes incidence is actually influenced by weather, season, and geography. Like I said, mostly tropical countries get this, so someone from Russia or way down south probably will not get it. But people in temperate climates where there's hot and cold season and a lot of rain can get dengue. So my data had a number of geological features like weather, like average precipitation, temperature, and the number of cases per year from a period of 1990 all the way to 2020. So these are the 4 main factors in my regression model that had significance. So first would be minimum and average air temperature. And when I checked it, apparently temperature can shorten the incubation period of mosquito larvae. What does that mean? Basically, they'll hatch faster, especially if the temperature is lower for whatever reason. Next would be average precipitation. So average precipitation is just how much water falls in an area over time. So it's the rate at which it rains, in simple English. So I guess why is this significant? Well, it says, mosquitoes are born in still water. So obviously when it rains, there's more amounts of still water, whether it's a gutter or a basin that you left outside of your house. And then the last and most interesting one is the city, which I found pretty interesting. Why would the city affect like the incidence of dengue? My gut feel is different cities in different places have different ways of combating dengue. Whether it's they have more funding on the local level, or maybe they don't have funding at all and then they just send their children to the hospital after the fact. So my guess is on a local level for health, everyone is attacking and fighting this on a different scale. So going to my conclusion and recommendations. Using this linear regression model, it is possible to somewhat predict if an area will be a hotspot for dengue. So what's the pros? It's very easy to implement this. These temperature indicators that I mentioned are things that we track already, and it's not complicated to do it. We're not doing some sci-fi stuff. So it's very scalable, and it's quite cheap actually to put domestically in different local government units. So, but the cons are, right now my model has a relatively low accuracy, about 20 to 25%. So which is does not inspire confidence, correct? But the model also does not take into consideration key factors like what are the local solutions, what are governments trying to do to cure dengue, and whatnot. Anyway, thank you for your time.
You want a full minute overtime.
Okay, thank you.
I have you.